You ever get that cold shiver down your spine, like your instincts figured something out before your brain even caught up? That was me last Tuesday night, around 11 p.m. I was at my office inside Red Brick Table, my restaurant in Nashville. Just me, a glass of Pinot Noir I hadn't touched, and the soft glow of the reservation dashboard on my screen. I'd already sent the staff home for the night. I liked staying late. Gave me space to think. To breathe. Running a place like this doesn't leave a guy with much of either. But then a name popped up. One that froze me to the damn chair. Madison Carter. My wife. She'd made a booking for Friday night. Table for two. VIP room. What made my blood pressure spike wasn't just the fact she'd booked it. It was how she booked it. Different phone number. New account. But same name. Same last name. Almost like she wanted to get caught. Or like she thought I wouldn't notice, like I wasn't the one who built the booking system from scratch with custom notifications and back-end visibility. I could see everything. Always have. And the name in the guest of field? Kevin Rails. Now that was the gut punch. Kevin and I used to be close. We worked together for almost 5 years before I opened Red Brick. He was there for my grand opening. Toasted our anniversary last year. Knew my dog's name. Came to our house for game nights. And 6 months ago, I cut him out of my life. Why? Because I caught him texting Madison at 12:42 a.m. You still up? That's all the message said. Just 4 words, but they shook something loose in me. When I asked her about it, she said it was harmless. He was drunk, she told me. Rambling about work stuff. She showed me a few follow-up messages, innocent enough. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But my gut said otherwise. I told Kevin to stay away. We had a tense phone call. He played dumb. Acted hurt. Said I was being paranoid. Maybe I was. Until now. I stared at that reservation for a solid 20 minutes, just watching the blinking cursor in the notes field. No special instructions. No allergies. Just a clean, quiet setup for a night of secrecy. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed at the restaurant. Slept in my office chair, which didn't do my back any favors, but my mind wouldn't stop racing anyway. The next morning, I started digging. I remembered Madison, and I still had access to each other's iCloud accounts from back when we first got married. Meant to be practical. Shared calendars, photo albums, all that couple-wise stuff. She never bothered changing it. That's when I found them. Photos. Hidden in a separate album. Not labeled, not public. Just there. Waiting. First, it was a mirror selfie in what looked like a hotel lobby, Madison in a dark red dress, Kevin in the background with that stupid smirk he always had when he was trying to look casual. Then another one, Kevin's car, Madison in the passenger seat with her head tilted toward him. No other passengers. No group outing. And one more. A blurry *T of the two of them at a bar I didn't recognize. Her hand on his thigh. Their faces close. Each photo was a needle. Not just because of what they showed, but because of how easily she'd hidden them. Like she'd done it before. I could have confronted her right then. Stormed into the house. Thrown accusations. Demanded explanations. But I didn't. I needed more. So I got to work. I pulled the maintenance panel from the VIP room's west wall and snuck in a micro camera. Fitted inside a hollow space in the frame of a vintage Bordeaux painting. No one would notice, it was subtle. I checked the angle 3 times. Clean line of sight to the table. Synced audio. Synced it to my private server. I wasn't proud of it. But I wasn't ashamed either. By Thursday night, the feed was live. And I was watching. Friday came like a storm I could hear in the distance all week. At the restaurant, everything looked normal. Business dinner at the chef's table. Young couple celebrating an anniversary near the wine cellar. Our sommelier gave the usual charming intro to our new tasting flight. Music drifted from the overhead system, acoustic covers of 80s classics. The kind of thing Madison used to tease me about liking. I kept checking the time. 7:28, then 7:35. At 7:41, they walked in. I watched from the back of the house, hidden behind the blackened glass of the AV booth I rarely used unless we were testing new digital menus. She looked perfect. And I hated that I noticed. She wore a soft green dress. The one I bought her for our anniversary 2 years ago. Hair curled. A shade of lipstick she only wore on special occasions. Her heels clicked lightly on the hardwood as they moved past the host stand. Kevin was in a gray suit. Too sharp. Too clean. Probably borrowed from a stylist friend, he was always chasing an image. Madison touched his arm when she laughed. Smiled at him the way she used to smile at me. And the worst part? They looked comfortable. Natural. Like this wasn't their first time. They were seated at the table in the VIP room. I could see them on the feed. No idea they were being watched. Just two people laughing, ordering drinks, acting like the world didn't exist outside that dimly lit room. Then came the moment I'd planned. Instead of appetizers, the waiter brought 2 white envelopes. Small, thick, unassuming. Kevin opened his first. He pulled out a glossy photo, looked at it, then another. His face drained of color like someone pulled the plug. Madison reached for hers, slower. She pulled the photos out, same set. Her hands trembled slightly. She froze halfway through flipping them, then looked up and around, her expression hardening fast. "You're spying on me?" she snapped, loud enough to pierce the velvet hush of the room. The waiter said nothing, just stepped back. "These photos are old," she hissed, voice quivering. "We were there with coworkers. That's the bar from Jenna's birthday. And the hotel god Thomas, really? You're playing Sherlock again." A pause. A snort from someone at the neighboring table. Just loud enough to register. I didn't move, didn't say a word. I just watched her fume, flipping through images she had once hidden, now served to her like an amuse-bouche. Kevin looked like he wanted to disappear into the table. Madison, on the other hand, doubled down. Her voice rose, sharp and defensive. "This is pathetic. You think this proves something? You're the one with a camera in the wall." And she was right. About the camera, at least. But what she didn't get, what neither of them got, was that this wasn't about catching them red-handed. Not anymore. It was about giving them the floor. Letting them show who they really were. No scripts. No lies. They gave me everything I needed. And I gave them the worst table in town to do it at. I didn't make a scene. Didn't storm into the room. Didn't pull some Hollywood confrontation. I just left. Walked right out the back door of my own restaurant. Past the dumpsters. Past the alley lights that flickered like they always did. Got into my truck and sat there. Hands on the wheel. Heart pounding like I'd run a marathon. My phone buzzed. But I didn't look. I knew who it was. Madison. I didn't want to hear her voice. Not yet. Not while mine would have cracked just trying to say her name. I didn't cry. I didn't even scream. But the silence in that cab was louder than any argument we ever had. And man, we'd had plenty. What hit me hardest wasn't the images or even the reservation. It was the weight of realization. The slow rewind of the last 6 months playing in my head. Like a film I'd seen before but never truly understood. And suddenly, everything lined up. The solo runs. That's where it started. Madison used to run with me. Early mornings, sometimes late evenings when work got crazy. It was our ritual. Even when we barely had time for each other, we had those runs. Then one day she said she needed space. Wanted to run alone. Headphones in, world off, she told me. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. After that, her phone started going with her everywhere. Bathroom, kitchen, laundry room. Even the garage when she needed a minute. She turned off message previews, changed her lock screen, updated all her passwords, said she was tightening up for work. And when I asked why Face ID no longer recognized me, "It was glitchy," she shrugged. "Had to reset it." Then came the text I'll never forget. We were sitting on the couch, me half asleep, her scrolling through her phone like usual, when I glanced over and saw a message pop up. From Kay. "Your hands made my day." My stomach dropped. I asked her who it was. She laughed, said it was Carol from work. She had a migraine. I rubbed her shoulders in the break room. Total joke. I told myself not to overthink it, not to be that husband, the one who reads into every message, every smile. But I never forgot the way she said it. That too casual tone. That flicker of guilt that she masked so quickly. It almost worked. Then there was the printer. I'd been trying to print out the updated wine pairing menu one morning and forgot to switch from her work laptop. Out came 3 pages. A reservation confirmation, 2 boarding passes, and a hotel booking. The name on the reservation? Kevin Rails. The city? Charleston. The date? 2 weekends ago when she told me she was at a leadership retreat. I held up the printout. She snatched it from my hands before I could read the details and said, "It's not what you think. I used my work email for the wrong account. That's for my team. I'm not even going on that trip. But back then, I didn't know that. I just nodded and let it slide. Because the alternative was too painful to consider. Now I knew. Every excuse. Every late night. Every just one more call. It was all right there, like puzzle pieces I didn't even realize I had until I saw the picture they made. The picture of a woman who had stopped choosing me a long time ago and just hadn't had the decency to tell me. I don't remember how long I sat in the truck that night. Could have been 20 minutes, could have been 2 hours. The messages kept coming in. Madison, we need to talk. Madison, that was low, Thomas. But if this is how you want to play it. Madison, please. Just talk to me. I didn't answer. I drove home in silence. When I walked in, the lights were still on. The house felt off like someone else had been living in it while I was gone. There were shoes by the door I didn't recognize. A cardigan over the back of the couch I'd never seen her wear. The air smelled like her perfume, but stronger. Like she'd been trying to cover something. I went into the bedroom. Sat on the edge of the bed. Just sat there. The photos were still in my coat pocket. I didn't take them out. I couldn't. It was weird. I wasn't angry. Not like I thought I'd be. I just felt heavy. Like the last few years had been building to this moment and I was finally seeing the truth for what it was. I pulled out my old journal. One I hadn't touched since before the restaurant opened. Back when things were simpler. Inside was a note Madison wrote me back when we moved into the house. This is our forever, she'd written. No matter how crazy life gets, I'll always come back to you. I stared at the words until they blurred. Then I ripped the page out, folded it, and slid it into the back of my wallet. Not as a keepsake. As a reminder. The next morning, I didn't bring it up. She came down late, eyes puffy, lips tight. She poured herself coffee, didn't say a word. I didn't either. She looked up once, met my eyes. You're not even going to ask? I didn't answer. She scoffed. Of course not. Why would you care now? She wanted me to react. To yell. To crack. I didn't give her the satisfaction. Because I was done chasing truths from someone who specialized in burying them. That afternoon I made a few calls. Discreet ones. Quiet ones. My sister knew someone. A private investigator. Jenna. Used to be with the sheriff's department, now worked freelance for corporate firms and law offices. Good at keeping things clean. I met her at a diner 2 towns over. Told her everything. She didn't flinch. Give me 72 hours, she said, sliding a small recorder across the table. Anything else you want me to know? Yeah, I said. She doesn't know I'm watching anymore. And I meant it. Because I'd watched for long enough. Now it was time to see what they did when they thought the lights were off. Jenna didn't waste time. 72 hours. That's what she promised. And on the dot, hour 72 on the nose, she called me from a number I didn't recognize. No greeting, no warm-up. I have what you need, she said. When can we meet? We chose neutral ground. Back booth of a quiet coffee shop across town. I got there early, ordered something I didn't even want just to keep my hands busy. She slid in across from me, ponytail, jeans, messenger bag. No small talk. Just opened her laptop, turned it toward me. Thursday, she said. Hotel Sylvan. 4:18 p.m. She hit play. And just like that, I stopped breathing. There they were, Madison and Kevin, walking through the sliding glass doors of the Sylvan lobby like it was a regular Thursday. They looked relaxed. Smiling. Kevin was carrying her purse, which told me more than I wanted to know. Madison leaned in, said something that made him laugh. Then the elevator. The camera caught them stepping in together. No other guests. Just the two of them and the low hum of generic instrumental jazz. Jenna toggled the volume up. Madison's voice was clear. I needed this. I hate pretending. Kevin's reply was even worse. You won't have to for much longer. Then came the kiss. Not a quick one. Not the kind of thing you could explain away with, we were just being stupid. No. This was a full-body, no-regret kiss, the kind I hadn't seen from her in years. The elevator doors closed. Jenna fast-forwarded. Different angle now, front desk security footage. The timestamp read 4:26. They were back downstairs. Kevin leaned on the counter, Madison beside him. I watched the concierge gesture toward a clipboard. Kevin spoke, clear as day, one bed's fine. Madison didn't blink. Didn't correct him. Didn't even glance over to see if anyone was watching. She just smiled and tucked her hand into his arm. And then, like a knife, I heard her say, Thomas has no idea how alive you make me feel. I didn't say anything. Not for a long time. Jenna sat across from me, quietly closing her laptop. She didn't pity me. Didn't offer some pre-packaged line about how these things happen or how I'd bounce back. She just said it's all backed up. On a flash drive. In the envelope. I took it without a word. As I walked out of that coffee shop, one thought hit me so hard it made my knees wobble. She meant for it to stay hidden. And now I was going to show her what exposure really looked like. That Saturday was my mom's birthday. Big family gathering. We were hosting at the restaurant, closing down the main floor, catering it ourselves. Madison insisted on helping with the planning earlier in the week before she knew the walls were closing in. She even designed the digital invitation. Come celebrate with laughter, food, and family. Funny. It was going to be all three, just not in the way she thought. We had around 30 guests. Close friends, my siblings, Madison's cousins, a few people from church. Even our pastor showed up. Everyone brought gifts. I brought a remote. It was about 6:40 p.m. We just cut the cake. Everyone was still laughing over something my brother said. Madison was mid-sentence telling my aunt about our plans for a wine weekend in Chattanooga. I stood up, tapped my fork against a glass. Got everyone's attention. Before we move on, I said, voice calm, there's something I want to share. A little video surprise. It's personal, but I think it belongs here. Madison froze. I saw her face change before anyone else did. A flicker of panic. Her hand tightened around her wine glass. The projector behind the bar came on. The music cut. Then came the footage. Hotel lobby. Elevator. The kiss. Room request. Her voice. Thomas has no idea how alive you make me feel. The room went dead silent. My sister put her hand over her mouth. My dad stared at the screen, jaw slack. Someone muttered, "Oh my God," under their breath. And Madison? She didn't move. Didn't cry. Didn't speak. Just sat there with the wine glass in her hand, breathing fast. Her face was white. Eyes darting from the screen to the guests, then back to me. Kevin was there too. Yeah, he had the audacity to come. Said something about being mature for the family. He didn't stay long. As soon as his face showed up on screen, he stood up like he'd been electrocuted. He didn't say a word. Just grabbed his coat and walked out, past the chairs, past the kids, past the frozen faces. The video ran its full course, just 1 minute and 40 seconds. No music. No fade out. Just cold, hard reality. When the screen went dark, no one clapped. No one laughed. I looked around the room and said, "Thank you for coming. Dinner's still on the house. But you'll understand if I step away for a bit." I left through the kitchen door, walked into the alley, and sat on a milk crate with my head in my hands. I wasn't proud of the moment, but I didn't regret it. Because for the first time in this whole mess, the truth wasn't just mine to carry. Madison came home that night around 2:30 in the morning. I was awake. Lights off. Sitting in the living room, waiting. She opened the door slowly like a teenager sneaking back in after curfew. Her heels were off. She looked smaller than usual, like she'd folded into herself. I didn't say anything. She did. "I can't believe you did that," she hissed. No apology. No remorse. Just fury. "You ambushed me in front of everyone. That was humiliating." I didn't move. Just sat there. Let her fill the silence. "You've been spying on me? Following me? Digging into my life like some twisted detective?" She crossed her arms, shaking. "You've ruined everything." I finally stood. Calm. Quiet. "No, Madison. You did." She threw her purse across the room. Knocked over a vase. Flowers scattered across the floor. "You're always gone. Always at that damn restaurant. I was invisible in this house, Thomas. I'm not a robot." Her voice cracked, and I thought maybe, just maybe, this was the moment she'd finally break down. Maybe she'd realize what she'd done. But instead, she threw out the line that ended it all. "And Kevin? It wasn't just S***X. It was better than it ever was with you." I didn't flinch. Didn't yell. I just looked her in the eye and said, "Thanks for the clarity." She stopped talking after that. And I stopped listening. That night, I revoked every password. Changed the bank accounts. Removed her Apple ID from every shared device. She didn't even notice until the morning. But by then, I wasn't trying to explain. I was preparing for life without her. She didn't come home that night expecting a fight. But she came in swinging anyway. It was around 8 a.m. the next morning. I was in the kitchen halfway through making eggs I didn't really want. The house was quiet like it had been for weeks. Cold in a way that had nothing to do with the thermostat. Then the front door opened and Madison stepped in like a gust of wind that brought the storm with her. She didn't look tired. Or ashamed. She looked mad. "You really think this makes you the good guy?" she snapped before I even turned around. I didn't answer. Just cracked another egg into the pan. "Exposing me like that in front of my family? Your mom? The pastor? What the hell is wrong with you, Thomas?" She dropped her bag by the door, paced a little, arms tight around herself like she needed to hold something or she'd explode. You humiliated me. I finally turned toward her, spatula still in hand. You humiliated yourself. Wrong thing to say. She walked into the kitchen like she owned it, like she hadn't set fire to everything we'd built and started in with full force. You don't get to play the martyr now. You've been married to your restaurant for the last 2 years. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it. I've been sleeping alone while you spend every night prepping for menus and wine flights. I've been invisible, Thomas. And now what? You get to pretend this is all my fault. I let the words sit in the air for a second. Let her fill the room with excuses and misdirection. Then I said, you cheated. She flinched. Not from volume, I wasn't shouting. Just the word. Like she hadn't been called that yet. Not directly. You don't understand, I understand perfectly, I said, cutting her off. No, you don't, she snapped. You were never home. Never listening. Every time I asked for something, time, help, I got a calendar reminder or a dinner reschedule. You think it's easy, being a ghost in your own marriage? Her voice broke on that last word, and I'll admit, for a half second, something in me wavered. She looked like a woman who just admitted to drowning. But the problem was she wasn't reaching for a life raft. She was reaching for someone to blame for the ocean. I turned back to the stove, flipped the eggs, and said, you could have talked to me. You chose to lie. And you chose to snoop. To hack into my private messages. Install cameras like some cheap spy movie. God, you make me sick sometimes. That makes 2 of us, I muttered. Her fist hit the counter. You really think this is justice? You're not some hero, Thomas. You're bitter and obsessed and self-righteous. You didn't catch me. You hunted me. No, I said calmly. I caught you because you got sloppy. She stared at me for a moment, breathing hard. Then something shifted. And suddenly she stopped being defensive. She started being dangerous. Her voice lowered, icy and deliberate. You better hope that video doesn't cost me my job. Or I swear I will make this ugly. That got my attention. I looked at her, really looked. She wasn't hurt. She was calculating. And in that moment I realized something chilling. Madison wasn't just trying to defend herself. She was trying to reframe the narrative. Make herself the victim. Make me the villain. She paced the floor like she was rehearsing a script. You showed the footage to people without my permission. You had cameras on me. That's illegal in some states. Did you think about that? Or were you too busy playing avenging angel? Are you threatening me now? I asked. She smirked, shrugged. Just pointing out the risks. This whole thing? It could backfire on you. I leaned back against the counter and folded my arms. So that's your angle. You get caught and now I'm the one who needs to worry. Her voice dropped another octave. You think you're the only one who can gather dirt, Thomas? I know things too. You think your staff doesn't complain about you? You think that prep chef you fired last fall won't tell people you threw a pan at him? That never happened. Doesn't matter, she said. In a courtroom? In a smear campaign? Truth is flexible. She was unraveling, but not in the way I expected. She wasn't falling apart. She was sharpening her teeth. I stayed calm. I had to. I'm filing for divorce, I said. She blinked. Excuse me. You heard me. Papers are being drawn up this week. I'm giving you until Monday to get your things in order. Her laugh was bitter. You think you can just kick me out? I'm not kicking you out, I said. I'm freeing myself from someone who already left a long time ago. She stared at me for a long beat. Then her voice softened, not kind, but cunning. You'll be alone, Thomas, she said. No one wants a man like you. Controlling. Distant. Cold. You think you're above everyone because you run a fancy kitchen? You're not special. You're just hard to love. And maybe once that would have gutted me. Maybe 6 months ago those words would have torn through me like shrapnel. But not now. Now all I felt was clarity. I turned off the stove, let the pan sit, and walked toward the dining room. Madison followed me halfway before stopping, like she didn't know what to do next. I grabbed a folder from the sideboard. Thick. Labeled. Inside were bank statements. Messages. Photos. Legal documentation. Everything Jenna had compiled, along with a letter from my lawyer stating intent to dissolve the marriage on grounds of infidelity. I didn't throw it at her. I didn't make a speech. I just set it on the kitchen island and said, "This is the part where you stop performing and start packing." She stood still. No comeback. No fury. Just silence. And for the first time in weeks, I saw it in her eyes. Not guilt. Not grief. Fear. Not because I'd exposed her, but because I was finally done playing the fool. It had been 5 days since the restaurant. Since the paperwork hit the table. 3 since Madison started sleeping in the guest room like we were just going through a rough patch and not standing on opposite sides of a war. I didn't speak unless I had to. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She just lingered, floated around the house like a ghost with good hair. She still made her protein shakes in the morning, still parked her car at the edge of the driveway like always, as if routine could cover the crater she'd blown through our marriage. Then, on the 5th day, I got a call from a number I hadn't seen in half a year. Kevin Rails. I stared at it for a long second. Let it ring once, twice. I almost declined, but something made me pick up. I didn't say anything, just waited. "Thomas," he said, voice low, scratchy. "Hey, look man, I wouldn't be calling if this wasn't important. You got a minute?" I didn't respond. He took that as a yes. "I know you probably want to K*LL me, and I get it. I do. But there's something you should know. Something I found out after everything." My jaw tightened. I didn't like his tone. Too soft. Too unsure. "You said I didn't know the whole story," I finally said. "So spit it out." There was a pause on the line, followed by a deep sigh. "She's been seeing someone else." My stomach didn't drop. Not this time. Barely moved. "What?" "Another guy. Someone from her gym. A trainer. His name's Brad. I didn't know until last night. She sent me a picture, probably by accident. Just a dumb selfie of her in workout clothes. But," another pause. "There was a mirror behind her. And he was in it. No shirt. Real close. Looked like he was brushing her hair off her neck." I didn't say anything. "She told me it was nothing," Kevin went on. "But I'm not an idiot. And neither are you." My throat felt dry, but I stayed calm. "Why are you telling me this?" He hesitated. "Because I thought it meant something," he said quietly. "Her and me. All those months. The hotel. The time we spent. I thought I was different. She said she felt alive with me." "Yeah," I muttered. "She said the same thing about you." There was a bitter chuckle on the other end. "Guess it's her line." He didn't ask for forgiveness. Didn't beg. Just said, "You deserve to know, man, that this wasn't about me. Or even you. She's chasing something that doesn't exist." Then he hung up. That afternoon I drove to the gym. Not mine, hers. The one she switched to 3 months ago. Said she needed a fresh environment. More classes, a better vibe. I parked across the street. Sat in my car like a detective in a cheap cop show watching through the windshield. Felt ridiculous. But I had to see it with my own eyes. 20 minutes later, there she was, Madison. Stepping out in black leggings and a neon sports bra. Hair up, towel slung around her neck. She looked happy. Loose. Alive. And right behind her came a man who looked like he belonged in a fitness commercial. Tanned. Sculpted. Tattoos on his left bicep and calf. Brad, I assumed. He grinned at her. She playfully slapped his chest. Then, without hesitation, he leaned in and kissed her cheek. She didn't flinch. Didn't glance around. Just smiled. Then she followed him to his car, and they drove off together. When I got back home, I didn't say anything to her. Didn't even mention it. I walked past her in the kitchen, where she was sipping from a smoothie cup and pretending not to notice the tension thickening between us like concrete dust. "You need anything?" she asked casually, like we were still playing house. I just shook my head. But inside, something had clicked into place. This wasn't about love. It wasn't about me. It wasn't even about Kevin. It was about her. Madison needed to be adored, worshipped, wanted, constantly, by anyone who made her feel shiny for 5 minutes. And when the glow faded, she chased the next light. That night I didn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan spin, thinking about how long she'd been doing this. How many times she'd said, "I love you," with her mouth and lied with her feet. I remembered all the little things. The perfume samples that showed up with no packaging. The Uber charges in neighborhoods she didn't work in. The new lingerie she bought for herself. All of it made sense now. She was never lonely. She was never neglected. She was just never full. I realized something else too. something that hit harder than all the betrayals combined. I had spent years trying to fix a marriage with someone who didn't even want to be married. She wanted the idea of love, the illusion, the validation, the audience, but not the work, not the responsibility, not the boring Tuesday nights on the couch or the arguments about groceries or the quiet way I rubbed her back when she couldn't sleep. She wanted fireworks, over and over, and when they burned out she went looking for another spark. The next morning I placed a suitcase by the front door. Not mine, hers. She came downstairs around 8 a.m. fresh from a shower wearing one of my old t-shirts like it meant something. She stopped when she saw the suitcase. "What is this?" I didn't answer right away. Just kept making coffee. She stepped closer. "Thomas, you don't live here anymore," I said calmly. Her jaw tightened. "You don't get to make that decision." "I already did. You can't just throw me out." "Watch me." She looked like she wanted to scream, to throw something, maybe even cry. But she didn't. She just stood there, hands clenched at her sides. "Is this about Kevin?" she asked, voice rising. I laughed once, short and sharp. "No, it's about Brad." Her face went still. "I saw you at the gym," I added. "I saw the kiss. The car." She didn't deny it. Didn't bother. Just rolled her eyes. "Oh my God. Are you following me now?" "No. I went to see for myself. Because Kevin called. Said he saw the reflection in a mirror." She didn't speak. I stepped closer, looked her in the eye. "You played both of us. And probably more. I'm not sticking around to watch your greatest hits tour." She tried again, softer this time. "So that's it? You won't even talk to me?" "I am talking," I said. "For the first time, I'm talking like someone who's finally wide awake." She turned toward the door, then back again, hesitating. "So this is how it ends?" I nodded. "This is how you ended it. I'm just cleaning up the mess." She scoffed. "You'll be alone, Thomas. Too perfect for a real woman. Too proud to forgive." "Good," I said. "I'd rather be alone than shrink myself to fit inside your idea of attention." She didn't say another word. Just grabbed the handle of the suitcase and walked out. I didn't watch her drive away. I didn't check to see if she'd left anything behind. I just stood in the hallway letting the silence settle. It didn't feel like a loss. It felt like a breath. Like the air had finally come back. The night she left for good wasn't stormy. It wasn't dramatic. There was no slammed door, no echoing scream, no shattered glass on the tile floor. It was quiet. Muted. The kind of night you forget until you realize it changed your life. I was already sitting on the couch when she came down. The suitcase was still there, standing upright by the front door like a silent chaperone. Madison paused at the base of the stairs. Her hair was damp. No makeup. Wearing the sweatshirt I bought her during a trip to Asheville 3 years ago. The one she said made her feel safe. She didn't look angry anymore. She looked lost. "So that's it?" she asked, voice low. I didn't answer. "You won't even give us a chance to fix it?" I set down my glass and looked her in the eye. "You spent my chances on hotel rooms and someone else's lips." She winced. But I didn't soften. She stepped forward, crossing her arms, trying to keep her voice steady. "You don't have to do this. We can go to therapy. I'll go alone if you want. I know I messed up, Thomas. I know I did. But we were good ones, weren't we?" I didn't respond. She gestured toward the door. "You really want to throw away a decade? For what? Your pride?" "No," I said quietly. "For peace." She stared at me, stunned, like she expected some last-minute change of heart. But there was nothing left in me to reverse. No rage, no sorrow, just clarity. And maybe that's what scared her the most. "I loved you," she whispered. I nodded. "I believe you did. And I believe you forgot how." Silence. Then she shook her head, bitter now. "You know what your problem is? You think you're too good for mistakes. Too perfect. But you're not. You're cold. You're so put together, no one can even breathe around you." "Funny," I said, rising to my feet. "That didn't seem to stop you from crawling into someone else's bed." The venom in my voice wasn't rage, it was truth. And she knew it. Her mouth opened, then closed again. No more words came. She picked up the suitcase. Her hand paused on the doorknob. "You'll regret this." But I didn't answer. She walked out into the quiet night, the door clicking shut behind her. And that was it. No fireworks. No final blowout. Just me. And a quiet house that finally felt like mine again. I signed the papers the next morning. Dropped them off with my attorney, no fanfare. No hesitation. It was the easiest hard thing I'd ever done. Afterward, I went back to Red Brick Table. It was early, before the lunch crowd. The kitchen was still. Smelled like fresh thyme and dish soap. I walked behind the bar, poured myself a bourbon, and just sat. The first sip burned. The second felt like breathing again. I looked around at what I'd built. My restaurant. My name. My rhythm. All of it had survived. I wasn't ruined. I wasn't broken. I was just lighter. I wasn't sure what came next. I didn't need to be. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like a passenger in my own life. That night, I drove home with the windows down. No texts waiting. No lies hiding behind a smile. Just the hum of the road and the soft creak of peace settling in. The house was quiet when I got back. Clean. Still. Her scent was gone. So were the picture frames she once filled with weekend smiles and edited memories. But I didn't miss them. I didn't need them. I opened a blank notebook. On the first page, I wrote, Day 1. Then I put the pen down and stepped outside. The morning air was cool. Crisp. A little sharp in the lungs, but honest. It didn't promise anything. But it didn't lie either. And that finally was enough.